All right. Well, this is the closing session for the April 2023 summit at Complexity Adventures. And Sean, feel free to give some opening thoughts while I get everything ready on the live stream, and we'll continue with the Jamboard link, which also you can post in the chat.
Sure. Yeah, I'm really excited for this one. This was the first summit since rebranding from Complexity Weekend to Complexity Adventures. And I really think the rebrand was a great move that our community did and co-created together, because it really does change the flavor of what we're doing here. I think it was really exciting. Like, people had a little more energy. There's just this sense of mystery, I know, was a common theme. There's lots of common themes that always happen every cohort. So I'm sure we'll get into that a little bit in this closing live stream. But I'm just generally very happy and excited. And I just see the bright future for this community.
All right, let's go to slide 3 on the Jamboard. And Sean, how was your summit experience?
I'm going to add a post-it. My typical experience is I learned a lot. I was excited most of the time. I'm very tired. It's exhausting, not only how much you learn in a summit, but also your assumptions get challenged, your viewpoints get challenged, you get exposed to new ways of thinking, and that, I often find that it takes me a few weeks to kind of decompress or, really grok everything that I experienced at a summit. Somebody write that into a post-it. Anyone else watching, either on YouTube, maybe Sarah can post the Jamboard in the YouTube. Anyone in Gather, just feel free to go on the Jamboard, start adding post-its. I'll drop the Jamboard link again.
Awesome. All right, it's all good. We're live. So yeah, excited, learned a lot, tired. So just while people are getting to the Jamboard and writing some, we're going to go through in this closing live stream a few overview and memory summaries. And then we're going to spend a lot of time hearing from different team seeds. So in the Atlas, we have so far 12 team seeds, some of whom will present, others of whom will just mention. But if you're wanting to present as a team seed or otherwise, we'll look forward to hearing from you pretty soon. Special, fun and connecting, generative, yes. And also one important comment. At this link, you'll find the summit feedback survey, as well as in the Atlas, in the anonymous feedback section. There's one form for the live session feedback and one form for the overall summit feedback. All questions are optional. It's totally voluntary and anonymous, but it would be massively, massively important for people to reflect back some of the time that they spent in a session to help make sure that we really make each moment and the whole process better time after time. And one of the most important things that someone can do, apart from just continuing to be involved and be part of the improvement, is also to complete these forms.
Yeah, I love, by the way, these post-its. Generative is a really great way to describe what happens at a summit, because for anyone who's attended the summit, you know that it's not like a typical gathering. It really is about the peer interactions, the novel information created through us interacting, through us forming teams, unpacking complexity concepts into specific systems. I think generative is actually a super good way to summarize it.
Yeah, it's the world catching up / realizing complexity. And so it's definitely interesting. And extraordinary moments of awe, connection, learning, and beauty. And Fire Hose of Learning. I think these kind of capture a little bit of like the learning and the information, and also this like interaction and personal and relational and multi-scale feature of just simply coming together, but also doing it in special way. Good to move forward?
Mm-hmm.
All right, so we're going to celebrate the cohort, mention the roles, go to the team seed section where as many people who want to can come up. And then we're going to, after the live stream, just stay in the Gather, go to the garden on the left, hang out. All right. So, uh, we had a global cohort. We had uh, over 100 people overall, and some new gradients of guiding and adventuring that haven't been explored before. So, needing a lot of thinking and reflecting on, and many teams arising, and just a bewildering array of digital trails that always motivate us to do better and understand knowledge management and wisdom better, which is always part of the momentum that motivates us to do better and include people to be in that improvement. And just many fun times seeing people in different modes, and it was great times. Sean?
I mean, I think that last point about collaborations and friendships. I mean, one thing that I think is really unique about our community is we have a very high retention rate. Like when people join into the Complexity Adventures community, they're usually intending to come back at some point. And whatever that cadence looks like for you, that's your own individual or team journey where you're always welcome to come back to this backdrop of applied complexity community. And so it's fun every time. Half of the participants or adventurers are close friends at this point over the years, and then half are brand new faces that get to get onboarded to the community and are usually around in the future at some point. So that's really special, and that's something that I just am really happy about.
Yeah. So definitely, for all who co-created and engaged, we really appreciate it. It's not even enough to say like that, couldn't have done it without the actuality. So it's just awesome that people come together this way. And it's something we continue to explore. So great times. Anything to say here on 6, Sean?
I think the main thing with this one is just knowing that the atlas that we've been going to all summit, we've been mostly in the events section in the summit, kind of for this particular April summit. We intended this document to be evergreen in terms of all the other context here for our community, the ways to get involved in the roles in our community, the tech platform that we're constantly building, the different teams, whether community teams, which we'll talk about in a bit, or some private teams like the team seats we're going to hear in this live stream. This is all, the mission, purpose, values. This is all really key stuff that we operate on. And a key aspect here is for all the values and everything Daniel's going through right now is we really do need your feedback on all of this. And not only whether a particular value that has already been co-created with the community, you're aligned or not aligned with it, or it's not clear to you, or whether you think something's missing, or you had some interactions that kind of give you a new light on some of these, and you want to give that input and feedback into really the software that kind of runs our community. So there's a lot in this document. I would really encourage everyone to read over it at some point. It will be ever evolving, but it's good to just snapshot it every once in a while and just kind of get a really good overview of everything going on in Complexity Adventures.
Thank you, Sean. All right, roles are also described in the atlas. Do you want to describe anything, Sean?
I mean, the main thing, it'll come up later, but everyone in Complexity Adventures right now is a volunteer. All of these roles are volunteer roles, and they're all open to anyone who wants to step into them. So we're all by default adventurers, just in life and in learning complexity. And anyone is welcome to be a guide for others, kind of a peer mentor, sharing your unique perspective with others at our monthly base camps, at our biannual summits. That's a role anyone can step into. Organizers, they help to not only form community teams or our internal public teams to run the events, such as the monthly heartbeats, the monthly base camps or the biannual summits, but also organizers on our community teams. We have organizers lead all these different teams that operate kind of internal domains that run our community and build everything you see. And so while we're on the page, I mean, just a really nice opportunity for everyone is seeing this in the atlas, knowing that anyone's welcome to drop into these public meeting times. They occur in our public gather space, which I hope is linked to the top. There you go. Yeah, the world map. That's always open for our monthly base camps, for anyone meeting anytime, co-working at any time. Our community teams meet there at the times listed like clockwork. So anyone's welcome to join, get filled in on what's going on here, and kind of drop into a team that's learning complexity by doing constantly. So that's a nice affordance that not only helps you learn, but also helps the community operate.
Thank you. Anything to add here? Just a visual reminder, and the line continues, and in November, likely to be announced exactly, pending the organizers coming together, we'll have a second half of 2023.
One thing that would be nice to see here, so this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, the 7th online weekend. It's interesting to see how much we truly are accumulating adventurers, teams, guides. We're just, as we move forward in time, hopefully through deep time, we will just keep accumulating this growing network of applied complexity practitioners and theorists, and we're constantly trying to build new ways of connecting us to each other. So one thing I know for sure that we really want to build as an internal organizer initiative is an understanding of what teams are still out there and still active and what they need and which are still open to new participants. So that's something to look out for in the Atlas as we kind of improve that technology and kind of continue this tradition. I think, this is also a nice reminder of not only are we intending to kind of be a community backdrop that's just constantly there, hopefully forever, if we can keep self-organizing and running it beyond any of our individual participations. You have this kind of green energy of the biannual summit, which is really the peak energy for our community, and then these monthly base camps. And you just kind of have this waveform going through time, and keeping in mind that you're an individual, you happen to be on a team, whether the team started at Complexity Adventures or was already started and was interfaced with the community for support. That yellow line is really your trajectory to go off into the world, to apply complexity science, to improve the world, to do all this great stuff. And then you're always welcome to loop back into the green energy whenever it benefits you as an individual, you as a team. And again, over time, we're always trying to improve processes. And we'd really like to get to a point where when a team or an individual engages with the community, we have a lot more resources to offer and provide over time as well.
Awesome. So just to run through the roles a little bit, we thank the organizers, Sarah, Eric, myself, and Sean. We had a great few months, and anyone who wants to help, they can ask any person or the organizer's email address about the time commitment, but I promise you it can be 1 hour per week for synchronous meeting, if nothing else. And it can also be more, and it's a great and a fun time. So I hope that people, that organizing is a extremely part-time way to learn a lot of fun things and meet a lot of fun people. So that's my personal recommendation, but not for everyone in every context. However, we really want to make it clear that a lot of contexts are extremely welcome to join in co-organizing and be a full team participant in an event-specific, really bounded way. Sean?
Yeah, I just want to highlight that the commitment is a lot less than you think. It's really, 1 to 2, depending on how many committees we loop you into, or community teams you loop you into, 1 to 2 to maybe a few hours a week, and then some amount of asynchronous work in between those meetings. That's pretty much it. And it's just over a series of months leading into the summit. So it really is a great opportunity to learn applied complexity by doing, in the complex system being our community in these events. There is a lot to learn each time, and it's super fun. And I'd love to hear, Eric at some point, he's finally at some point, if you want to come up when we invite the guides, to just speak a little later, I'd love to hear your perspective on being a first-time organizer and, just how that was for you. So.
And this year, it was so special and great to have a broader circle of organizers and more who aren't even listed here, but just broader spheres of co-organizing, and everyone bringing just absolutely special insights and skills and new developments and meta improvements with visibility and accountability across areas, which of course I can't say we'll have resolved from the last 4 months of this phase, but we also won't say that for any length of phase. So it's fun. But thanks to everybody who's on this slide. Thanks a lot to the guides. In the event people section, you can see and find Keybase usernames, or on the website, you can find more contact information about guides. You step up to scaffold a session, and sometimes many things beyond that. So it's just awesome, and we just appreciate the volunteering, because it shows that it's meaningful and valuable for you, and that you think you can, and that you encourage other people to be on their adventures, which is just awesome. Sean?
I can't stress enough how important the role of guides is to our community. Not only are you like the front lines of teaching people applied complexity, but you're also the representative of your perspective and your experience. And one of the goals we have as a community is to pull as many diverse perspectives together, just unified around interest in complexity and learning it across systems. And the more people we can get to the table with different ideas and different backgrounds and ways of thinking, the better. So being a guide is really the main way in this community to not only give to fellow adventurers and mentor and do all these things, but also to represent your perspective and really be at the table in that capacity.
Yeah, a lot more to say, but hope you'll stick around to hear it. Okay, Sean?
So one thing that we kicked off this summit is initiating a fundraising campaign. From any small dollar donations at any amount helps. We have a few things that we really need to, on an organizational side, to take care of financially. And that includes not only expanding our tech community team's processes to be more open source, at least within our organizers circle, but also some urgent organizing backend improvements that are just frankly unsustainable right now in terms of the processes that we have to do to keep things running. This will clean all that up through a partnership with our tech community team. Keybase itself, as an element of our tech stack, is starting to deprecate a little bit, or just not work as well as we were hoping in different scenarios. So we've already designed the replacement for it, which is Mattermost. We just need some resources to kind of put that new solution in place. And the last thing is really improved outreach, which is the key to our whole community in terms of our values of learning through a highly diverse group of people. And it's the more we can reach out to communities and cast as wide a net as possible, the more diversity we end up with, which also leads to diverse teams, which is a really key environment to learn applied complexity in. So all of this is enabled by anyone here contributing any amount of money. You have bit.ly.give to CA, which I'll post. And I just want to stress that if, at this moment in time, we're not ticketing at all. And in general, we never want a financial barrier to applied complexity education. So just considering any value that you may have received as an adventurer, as a guide, as an organizer, through any community processes, just really think on that. And then if you resonate with that, please think about paying it forward to future adventurers, future teams, and making sure that we are not only sustainable as an organization, but also getting better over time, improving our technology stack, improving our processes, reaching out to more people. So I just can't stress that enough. I'm going to post the link in the Gather chat. Sarah, anyone, post in the YouTube chat. And I think if we can kick off with a good amount right out the gate with this summit, it'll be a lot easier to get this stuff taken care of before the next summit. So thank you, Sarah, as your message. Thank you.
Thanks, Sean. All right. Again, a feedback link is posted here, but also in the Atlas anonymous feedback. It's so important to hear your thoughts anonymously on each live session. You can pick the title of the session. So even for this closing session, I'd like to see more of it. We reviewed, didn't we? We did a little review on the first one. I'm personally very excited even before seeing it for the team seeds. It's that fast, and it really helps us understand. And the summit form is on the second page with a lot more questions. And also, if you ever want to just email the organizers for a more personalized response. So I hope that that's good. All right. You want to describe the word cloud?
Yeah. So we're about to get into the teams share portion. So at this point, anyone in Gather, if any guides want to step up and join, Eric, if you'd want to join, no pressure. Just talk to Sasha, hop up in here. In the meantime, we'll just kind of frame getting into that mindset of thinking about what the adventurers have been up to this cohort and the mindset they were in this weekend to come together, understand the different perspectives they're coming from, understanding a problem that really resonates and shared goals that really resonate and shared purpose, and solution approaches. And this word cloud is just a fun kind of way to see through a bit of the distribution of what people are interested in. So cognitive science, artificial intelligence, in-person online community building, assisting humanity through major evolutionary transitions, consuming content related to fractals and chaos theory, collective knowledge management. These are just areas of interest, problems to solve, systems to improve. Anything standing out for you, Daniel? Just even especially looking at the smaller words if you can.
I like that there's a lot of small ones. Let's continue. And this one is showing.
I would say, yeah, these are probably, I think, more focused on the problems. Managing conflicts. Urban rewilding is a great one. Spatiotemporal problems, creating behavior change, always tricky. Implementing team science, narratives. I'm just, it's always fun to see how diverse our interests are. And I think that's one of the things that's most compelling about our community is, I know several out there, myself included, we love being around passionate people. It's just that energy of hearing people excited about something. And it's just really fun in our community to hear people excited about so many different things and be able to bounce around kind of between that energy. So it's just it's a little microcosm of the broader Complexity Adventures community, because right now, our whole community is probably on the order of 1,000 now at this point, and this is on the order of 150, 200. So it's still a little bit of data from a subset of the broader community, and I just can't wait at some point to source the full picture, the ever-growing picture of any interest anyone in our community has, and could potentially be one chat away from, or a connection away from you and any efforts you may be up to.
Cool. All right. Well, we're about to hear from a bunch of team seeds. So I'll just show again, we have the team seed form. So it's truly not even too late. Anybody who's lined up, we're going to hear from them. I guess you can put any feedback or thoughts or contact in these cells around each team. You can also reach out directly to the people who present. They'll likely, if they're going to join the live stream, encourage you to reach out and can definitely make that clear. So yeah, I'm super excited for this. I'm going to go back to carousel view. So Sasha is on the red carpet dancing. If you would like to present for up to 5 minutes, please just join in line, and hope to hear from several teams. And then
Nice.
and then we'll also after everybody who wants to be on the live stream has presented what they want to present, then we'll just mention the teams that wanted visibility but are not presenting, which is also totally fine. And then we'll kind of have some just reflections between the presentations. If any guides want to join and hang out, then have kind of just some closing thoughts. So it's about to be very fun. We're going to hear from a bunch of exciting directions for projects and things that like arose within the last 48 hours. And so thanks so much for the bravery to present, to do it live, and to share something that, like, to say it's a work in progress is usually like an understatement. So it's awesome. And Sean, go for it. And then whoever goes up next to Sasha will be the first on deck.
I'd like to request, and again, no pressure, but Michael Hathawis, if you did want to join as a guide to kind of give some commentary in this section, I would definitely like to highlight, whether you're up here or not, just the efforts that you did this cohort of pulling multiple communities into this space, and through a series of live sessions, really mixing the communities, getting them aligned around shared goals and kind of closing with a big, live with every adventurer welcome to join conversation about that collaboration. So would love to chat with you about it. Welcome up. If not, we will definitely highlight it throughout.
All right. Who will go first?
I see Eric kind of near the front. Maybe Eric, you want to pop up and chat about your team? Welcome in.
All right. I will have
Sasha
the
was
fun.
near the front.
Oh, Sasha's the bouncer.
He's the bouncer. Okay. Well,
Sasha's blocking physically so that nobody figures out that if you push G, you become transparent and walk through onto the live stream. Oh no. But whoever wants to go next, just go on the red carpet.
Also, can we acknowledge Sasha's sunglasses being the bouncer? I think it's hilarious.
All right. Eric, thanks for the
so,
presentation.
Yeah, okay, I guess I'm on there.
Up to you.
So our team came together a couple days, yesterday, this morning, can't remember, this morning even, in a conversation yesterday with Michaela and Karine. We're all consultants in many ways, work with companies, work with organizations, and it's always a constant struggle to not only just get in the door many different places, but working with the group, how to introduce more complexity-aware approaches to solving problems, managing the organization, and helping improve the processes. Just calling them complexity, calling it systems change, and that approach is not necessarily particularly useful. We've all got our particular tricks, tactics we use, ways of engaging people, ways of opening minds and creating space to explore new avenues of pursuit. We just thought it would be useful to get together to share experiences, perhaps craft some different techniques, some different ideas that came out of the weekend. We'd like to kind of put together, see if there's any tools we can develop even. That's kind of it. Open to others to join, of course. Be helpful if you were also in a similar vein of consultations and working with organizations in similar ways, but that'd be wonderful.
I've got a question, Eric. So, what do you anticipate in terms of trying to help organizations and individuals, learn about complexity, learn to think about, in a complexity thinking way, like about their particular systems? Like, what do you anticipate there about that kind of consultation like work?
I could speak out about that from my perspective and working with organizations. Shaping the future, influencing the outcomes that emerge is a particular skill. We do it. We have, we move in the direction of our conversations. Are there better, faster, easier, more efficient ways of doing that? There are. I think with through better collaboration, collaborative types of efforts that fit with the particular context, better systems lenses, being able to see and make sense of things in more of a systems perspective. And it's a different management process. It's not really super mysterious. And this is something Michaela, related from her experience as well. Applying complexity in a management process, it's not a mystery. There are known ways of going about it. It does often require a bit of a rethink and a willingness to experiment and try something new. All right, am I done here?
Thank you. Well on time.
Well, Daniel, you are muted. But anything in particular you'd like to ask for, other than anyone to possibly join in this effort? Any other resource the community might be able to provide? Eric, you might be muted now.
Is that a question for me?
Oh yeah,
Oh no, sorry, I didn't hear the question.
Oh, just is there anything, any resource other than potential new participants to join the team that the community might be able to provide? Like, is there, can we keep an eye out for particular kinds of clients and shoot them your way, or?
I don't know. All I can say is, I think we're looking to, one, identify some good practices that work amongst ourselves. If those make sense to double down on. Are there any particular tools and resources we can develop to facilitate and enable those situations amongst ourselves. So we'll see.
Awesome.
Awesome. Thank you, Eric.
Thank you, Eric. 4 minutes long for people who like time.
Well done. Let's get, I see Paul closest now to Sasha Paul, if you'd like to join Entropy.
Paul, to the live stream area, please. And anyone else who wants to share Team Seed or anything else, truly, can go to the red carpet. Paul, please.
Hello, everyone. My name is Paul. I'm going to give a
little louder
speech. Is that better?
Yes, thank you.
Hello, my name is Paul. I'm going to be giving a little speech I titled Exploring Human Instrumentality as PSYOP. My Team Seed was PSYOP Integrator Tooling, and our topic and focus was how to map the memes and intent behind PSYOP or social phenomenon. So I'm just going to rant for my 5 minutes and to give a context for what this means. So I have recently become fascinated with the question, what are we to do with our lives? What are we to do with our lives? It's not only a question, but the subtitle of a book by H.G. Wells titled An Open Conspiracy. In An Open Conspiracy, published in 1928, Wells describes how humanity is waking up from their slumber. With the rise of technology, vast portions of humanity were now well-fed and capable of reading. Plagues, famines, and wars went from acts of God to acts of human incompetence. Humanity had attained all these new tools and toys, but continued to act like children with their religions, national identities, and conceptions of government. There was a need for a new way to orient humanity towards the greater good. Let's go back and define some terms. So let's use human instrumentality as the conceptualization of how we go about answering the question, what are we to do with our lives? We are the game and the game maker all existing within the larger game of reality. We are simultaneously the instrument, separate from reality, and the entity playing it. Not all of us get a chance to play a resonating tone on the instrument, but we're all the music coming from it. The lives of cavemen are vastly different, produced a vastly different sound than the instrument of industrial society. PSYOP stands for psychological operation and is the strategic manipulation by governments or organization that involves controlling the regime of attention. It encompasses tactics like spreading rumors, fake news, or using manipulating the press and social media algorithms to influence people's thoughts and actions in line with their own agenda. The goal is to shape and direct what people pay attention to, shaping their perception of reality. As the old saying goes, who controls the past controls the future, who controls the present controls the past. PSYOP is one of the most effective ways to play resonating tones on the human instrument. The characteristics that define each of the world's vastly different cultures are not all naturally emergent. PSYOP take the form of cornerstones in our society, such as traditional marriage, voting and democracy, and money. PSYOP can also generate smaller sounds, such as those generated from the Russian misinformation campaign, advertising, a religion, and even the phenomenon popularly known as progressivism. What sounds do we want the human instrument to make? What might stop the music of the human instrument from being played? The instrument makes plenty of sounds while trying to achieve whatever animated vision of the greater good constitutes. I often ask people what they would do with a backdoor to the NSA, which means access to everyone's browsing history, private messages, and oh, so much more. What type of music should the NSA make while playing the human instrument? The NSA is the closest thing we know about a mankind building a god. Whatever you think LLMs are capable of today with our current data sets, imagine you can do with nearly a backdoor to every cell phone on the planet for the last 25 years. You have to play the game to challenge the rules. You have a chance to play a note maybe even a little tune, and it can resonate across the human instrument. But first, you must be aware of the sound flowing through your being. So I'm going to ask all of you a question, and I hope it resonates. And the question is, what does your path to greatness look like? Yeah, thank you for listening.
Thank you. In the final 50 seconds, how can people be involved, or what would they be involved in this project?
So what I'm interested in doing is providing additional context for the data that constitutes our virtual digital twins. Such as you can use tools such as like Hypothesis to annotate the web. But what I'm really interested in is exporting and annotating. It's all about asking questions. So we can if you have a backdoor to the NSA, what are you supposed to do with it? But you don't need a backdoor to the NSA. You can request your data from Google. You can request your data from Facebook. You can check your own browsing history. But even with all that information, it's sort of useless. So what utility can we extract from this information? I encourage people to ask that question. And if you want to engage with me, you can message me on Twitter.
Thank you, Dentropy.
Thank you, Paul.
Thanks, guys.
Yep.
All right.
Next, I'm thinking Hacktivist, if you are planning on sharing anything.
Yeah. We'll invite whoever wants to join next. And then following whoever goes next, we will have the Complexity Transmedia Waggle Dance. So everyone is welcome to join the following presentation, but next another team will go. Hacktivist, thank you for coming on. And thanks for this journey. So the 5 minutes are yours, and following this will be the Waggle Dance.
Woohoo! I could use a waggle already. I'm so tired. Kudos to both of you for really doing a great job. I mean, this is so exhausting to really carry off a 48-hour event that's global in scope. And so I really want to tip my hat off to both of you. Really not just both of you, the entire team. And there are really two things to talk about. One is the explicit project that I put in, which or Team Seed, that was the fruit of a conversation like, oh yes, I'd like to build on the synergies in this community and take it forward. And that was, if you will, co-parenting collective wisdom with AI, using ChatGPT and the like to kind of have groups, not just use as individuals, but what happens if we organize in an action learning group? How might that change how we digest and co-interpret? And really, there was this element of co-parenting, because there's a part that is in a subordinate relationship, and it's like how might the human factor supervise and correct the algorithmically driven knowledge. So it could go in 20 ways to Sunday, but certainly anyone interested in going on a kind of collective learning journey, we're all on it, whether we like it or not. And so the question is, do we learn together? And how do humans push back what otherwise, if we're acting as individuals, we might be seen as an individual customer and not a collective customer that speaks for issues that otherwise don't necessarily get heard. So that's one initiative. A second, which is perhaps more interesting to many, was the reason I came this next time to this event. In my life, there had been an opportunity to play interlocutor between some different communities that were on a learning journey. Community number one, a movement, a scientific movement, you could say, of people working on the science, a transdisciplinary science of collaboration. And so there was a whole range of people here that were, if you will, social change agents wanting to bring and learn some of the some of the human factors in co-regulating, if you will, in complex environments. The second were these folks from the Deep Transformation Networks group, and I often describe them as visionaries of the future, with a bent towards idealism, that are hoping to reverse engineer a future positive state. And that was led by Brian Sawerf, I'm botching his name, Jonas, who not only represented the community, but also is a thought leader in his own right. The Earth Regenerators community brought a Great Lakes bioregional project that they've been working on to kind of say, hey, this is, we're collecting fragments from this place-based reorientation to nature. And one of the ideas that seemed to catch fire across different communities was this idea of like, what happens if instead of using political units or other cultural units, we talk about our relationship to place in biology, in watershed, and how does that open up? And one of the little kind of spin-offs that I'm hoping will come from this will be that there'll be some techies that work to add to the address. You know, we all are used to using address with cultural labels, and that we could add in what is our bioregion or what is our watershed, so that data sets could very quickly all start to be co-organized around this new category, which is a natural category instead of political or cultural categories. And so that's, again, not on the list, but it's one of these kind of backdoor conversations. It's like, oh yeah, we should. The third group, well, I guess I spoke about Earth Regenerators, was that all of these folks were here to kind of use the space that is this virtual space to kind of get better related. An easier way to kind of have people from all over the world, because all of these communities are global, to hang out in a space together. So we really want to thank you for being not only students of complexity, but really have a disciplined approach to incubating learning sprints, you know, whether these are 2 people or 20 people and such. And whether or not these communities choose to leverage the methods you've put here, which I hope they will, is their choice. But you're doing great work in the not just complexity sphere, but the action learning sphere. And as I say, I that's why I wanted to bring others to play here. So thank you for being you. Thank you for being in the world. And yeah, I am whether it is these group initiatives or folks who want to play on this kind of how do we do action learning augmented by artificial intelligence? What does that even mean? And how do we do it with people who are not trying to just be the first in the room or the fastest, but to be wise, to be informed by what we know and what we don't know, and to be in a good relationship to what we don't know, instead of just assuming that we'll build something and we'll just, you know, if something breaks, we don't care. We really want to be thoughtful. And last group that I'll mention that popped along, I don't know what I'm doing on time, so you're gonna have to give me like a signal.
You can conclude.
Was the workshop on the spiritual life of scientists. I wasn't sure if it was going to be a total disconnect with this community or not, but basically a group of people that for 30 years have been looking at interrogating the unknown and how to really make sense beyond our familiar ways of sense making. And it was just an amazing conversation. So, and there were 1,000 other amazing conversations. So thank you again, and peace.
Thank you. Wow.
Yeah, Michael, I just want to say, like, thank you and congratulations. And it was just a resounding success, the effort to pull these communities into this kind of public commons that we're hoping to build more and more over time, and just facilitate applied complexity learning and mixing of different communities in a respectful space that hears all the diverse perspectives, values all the diverse perspectives, try to find solutions through that. So I just want to say thank you again. It's really an archetype for, I think, how certain types of guides can best utilize and leverage this space. And I just am excited to keep working and figure out how to systematize it a little more over the coming months and years. So thank you, Mike.
Awesome. All right. Next is going to be the Complexity Transmedia Waggle Dance. So if you want to join for this, even if it's a cold call, you can join the live stream. And point two, if you want to present following this, you can go to the red carpet. All right. I'm going to be presenting this one. So I'm going to, on my screen share, it should now be visible with the Jamboard. So great that people are adding feedback to all these great points. All right. I'm going to start the 5-minute timer on the other computer. Okay. So this is the project Complexity Transmedia Waggle Dance. And here was our current plan as of yesterday. We didn't meet following this 1 hour of collaboration. So we had a great hour. We locked it in while we were together synchronously. And then I'm going to take the initiative to continue to email move forward. But also everybody had the opportunity and several people did edit the document between our 1 hour time talking and now, I guess. So I may or may not have even read that. I'm going to present the team seed right now, along with whoever else wants to join, and then I'll send an email after the summit with a link to the CODA documents and a few times when I'm going to be just starting to do it, and other people who want to can join in. And so you can unfold that and add your name to kind of opt in, and you can get in contact with me if you want to see the document. So we were really inspired by the juxtaposition of two ideas that happened kind of in rapid succession. So first was Corinne's session on transmedia readiness, kind of moving beyond multimedia. And also Yolanda and Gemma's section that was about, among many other important topics, like this motif of the waggle dance and the honey guide and these amazing interspecies communications and coordinations. So this motivated, in a classical biomimicry way, a discussion about how the waggle dance that was shown by Yolanda and Gemma was related to like our own activities. So in the bees, it's like, hey, I found these flowers. You might want to go. It might be good for the colony. Just saying, this is what was good for me. And so we analogized that to the communication, for example, sharing a link online. So we talked about how every bee is able to learn, and that we leave our footprints, which was another theme of Yolanda and Gemma's session. And our footprints are like the consequences of our dance, the sound and the pheromones that we leave. And the mind of the dancer is different than the outcome of the dance or the interpretation or the consequences of the dance. If it were enough to just want to dance, we would have telepathy, but we need to interact through the realized transmedia online. We talked about a lot of other like open areas of research that would be digging deeper into the entomology and then trying to map that back to the humans. We made a CODA table starting to map the waggle with the person and the bee. And then we completed the first draft of a catechism. So this is a question answered structured document that we use to just kind of like start to draft missions and different things we could do, different funny like titles or questions we could ask, and a lot of people just like bringing their different backgrounds. Sasha, what would you add in?
Awesome. Thank you. Yeah, we just followed the biomimicry theme and kind of we're spitballing on the analogies between what we know about bees and what we can notice and share about our own sort of online foraging environment and how to connect those in a meaningful and action-oriented way that I think is very complexity based in its approach.
Thanks. If anybody else wants to join in this last minute, but we're really just looking to time box and increment and have fun and make it funny, but also insightful, and to progressively develop one mapping suggested by, again, just the juxtaposition from the sessions, and just try to keep a space open that can include more people in areas they're familiar with or not familiar with. That's all for this team.
Nice. Good job. Especially
All
Daniel. Right. I see Michael at front of line. Can you hop back in here, Michael?
Oh, all right. Next will be, it looks like, Andrew.
Nice. Come on out.
All right.
Welcome in.
Thanks for joining, Andrew. All right. The 5 minutes are yours.
All right. So I submitted 2 seed seed forms, and so I'll be speaking a little bit about both of them. The first one is on the complexity reading group. Just, I think, we all have very different backgrounds, and it would be really interesting to see, or to have a reading group where we all kind of get together and show the things that we've read and have lit up a fire in us, and just kind of immerse ourselves in each other's backgrounds. And I think it'll be a good opportunity to essentially calibrate ourselves to each other's ways of speaking, and essentially create a good middle ground, and just an opportunity for socialization and more of this mingling and talking that has been going on within Complexity Adventures for the past few days. And on the second part, the collective knowledge management, this is regarding Michael Haptivis's one of his framings of how there are lots of communities or organizations, and there are, they have missions, and they have their own sets of knowledge, but they're all little archipelagos. And so how do we branch? How do we make branches and connections between each of these organizations? And so the general idea is to kind of have some sort of structure within this knowledge management system, where personal knowledge management is catered for the individual, and so it can be difficult to immerse oneself into someone else's knowledge management system. And with a collective knowledge management system, you can actually try and have a formal definition where you are abiding by some sort of frame of reference. And I'm also interested in making information and knowledge not easily navigable. So it's, we have articles and books to read they all may have wonderful knowledge inside them, but it's difficult to find the sparks within the literature. And also, just with ChatGPT, I'm not against it in any way, but I think even if we have AI generated content, framing it in a way to create encyclopedia literature that is easily auditable and referenceable will be a good step forward in organizing the information that is spread around, even if it is generated by AI. That's pretty much what my little gist.
Very deep. Thank you for that. There's 2 minutes, Sean, if you want to ask a question.
Yeah, I definitely wanted to ask a question about the complexity reading group. Well, one question, I guess, one suggestion. The question is there a particular focus area, or like maybe a first domain in complexity that you're going to focus on, or is it just kind of open-ended right now? Or how do you see that reading group kicking off in terms of the initial set of books or a focus area?
Yeah, so it just came up as just a spark earlier today, and I just submitted the form. And I just thought about like my to-read pile that I'm sure everyone else has. And so that might be the first thing if we end up. I mean, I've been reached out by numerous individuals to kind of get this started and organized. So after the summit, we'll find a way to get this going. But yeah, I just really want it to be about like, what have you read? Just start off with the thing that really started like a fire within you that pushed you onto your trajectory.
Nice. And then the suggestion would be, I actually put it as a post-it on the Jamboard for this closing live stream. Leverage the platform that we've got here with the Complexity Adventures community. And, it's already a team seed. So it's a team in our system that other adventurers can seed beyond the summit. If that's the will of the team to keep going and be open to new members, which sounds like the case here. But, leverage the Complexity Adventures World Map, which is our public open gather space that all of our monthly base camps are in, our weekly community team meetings, open co-working is just always open for any activity. If you want to set a recurring time and just be at that URL, for anyone in the world to join, we can broadcast that out, throughout the network and just get people, and anyone is welcome basically to start a new event series if you are going to organize it. We have a base level of events, of monthly base camps and biannual summits that will, as an organization, will make sure they happen and they keep going indefinitely if possible.
Mm-hmm.
But within, it's a fractal, right? Like you can have little branching from there where anyone in the community is welcome to step up into that guide energy, into that organizer energy, and just let everyone know, hey, I'm going to be here every Friday. Anyone wants to join? We're talking about complexity books. So, yep.
Yeah, I want this to be a microcosm of Complexity Adventures where, all backgrounds can join. If it's an advanced topic, well, we should try and convey the ideas as, in a way that's understandable by everyone. And that's still, even to the explainer, that is beneficial to try and frame it in different, to frame the perspectives differently.
Thank you. That's very inspiring. So good luck with the journey.
Yeah.
Nice.
All right.
Thank you so much, Andrew.
I'm going to.
I see Mikkel lined up. Why don't we have Mikkel go ahead
Yep.
and pop up, and then we'll ask for any other team.
And just a reminder, you can add some comments on the Jamboard. Just give some fun comments on what you're seeing, and just staying involved, but also just commenting a little bit. And Shirley wrote in the live chat, a diverse complexity reading list should be on our website. That's an awesome point, and that's a really tangible living list that will be super important. Yeah, Sean.
Nice,
And then,
Mikkel. I totally saw you figure out the ghost mechanic. I was gonna suggest it. That's so funny.
no bouncer will stop you. All right. Well, up next, Mikkel. 5 minutes are yours.
Cool. Yeah, thank you. So I've started a seed, and it's called Danello DAO GPT, and it's a reference to the two holy scriptures of complexity theory, Danello Meadows and the Tao Te Ching. And really, this is actually Sean's question that arose out of when we were talking yesterday, which is it possible to teach large language models complexity? And I would actually extend that and say, is it possible for them to apply complexity wisdom? And so basically what we're going to be doing is we're going to try to figure out how do we design prompts that we can feed in examples of complexity concepts or particular concrete examples to see if we can actually get LLMs to understand things like emergence and feedback loops in an actually applied way. And I'm really excited about this because something that I've always harped on is that complexity is an entirely different form of logic. And with GPT-4, it's actually really good at logic if you know how to formally represent it, but it can't do anything around complexity. I've tried. And so we're going to see, can we actually do it, get it to learn for complexity? And to me, this is not just an academic question. I actually think this is extremely important. And I'll say a few reasons why. So first of all, it's really an open question. How can we teach complexity more effectively to people? And something that I've actually really experimented with is using large language models. If I can teach the large language model, I can then actually use the same techniques to actually train people. So that is one way that I think that this is a really important question. But then beyond that, what I'm also very interested in is using agent models and other sort of aspects of complexity to start integrating it into strategic planning and in terms of business, in terms of policy. Now, historically, this has been very, very difficult to set up. And although there are plenty of examples of having great success of guiding organizations with agent modeling, it just is so niche. And I think with the recent advances in AI, we can actually bring this to a wider perspective, and then we can start incorporating these through the LLMs. And then the final piece is autonomous agents are going to become massive. And as everyone is putting out their autonomous agents into the world, whether you're looking at just practical near-term things or the AI apocalypse, all of that comes from, all those negative consequences comes from not having a systems perspective. And so if we can actually figure out how to incorporate systems wisdom into LLMs that act as coordinators for agents, it actually provides not only better outcomes, but actually safety in terms of how all of these agents are interacting. So right now, everyone is really focused on alignment when they're saying, how do we get agents to do what we want them to do? But the problem with just focusing on alignment is a lot of what we want them to do is actually not good. We actually don't have the perspective of our entire goals. And so if we can actually start incorporating systems wisdom into AI, into LLMs, then they can actually have a broader perspective, start showing people when they're trying to program these agents, oh, actually, maybe you should pay attention to these things. This is how we can kind of see these things unfolding. So I think there's a real practical application into all of this. And yeah, we don't know whether we can or not, but we would love anyone that is resonating with any of these aspects to come work with us and see if it's possible.
I just have to say, I remember the conversation that was like really kicking all this off, and I agree, it's super exciting. It's a potential groundbreaking notion. I know we're already chatting about trying to work out the theory a little bit. I do know one thing that I definitely want us to stay in contact with, Mikkel, is how to leverage, the monthly base camps and the biannual summits with this applied complexity community practice to come up with as much training data as we possibly can. So I think we should chat and figure out what that process looks like, and how to just build a system that I think will not only benefit applied complexity education, but also applied complexity practice. So very exciting stuff. Thank you.
Awesome. All right. Anyone else is welcome to step up to the red carpet.
Yeah, I can speak on a few. I mean, definitely step up if anyone wants to join, but I know there's at least 2 teams I can speak to right now. You want me just to go do those 2?
You can do it in 5 minutes.
Sure.
All right, go for it. And then anyone else on the red carpet, but basically Sean will go. Anyone else who wants to add anything truly at all can go to the red carpet. And then we're just going to quickly scan over the program, and then that will be the end of this live stream. So, Sean, 5 minutes are yours.
Sounds good. And before I begin, Z, if you do want to speak about the ABM Framework Study Group, hop up here. But anyway, I'm going to talk about GPT agents for cure seeking, which is not my team. I just wanted to share on behalf of the team because that's what they requested when they filled out the team seed form. And the idea is basically to leverage, an LLM model to connect to LinkedIn and help people find jobs. That's, I know, the rough pitch. There's a lot more there. I would just go to, in the Jamboard slide, the bit.ly with the team seeds URL there. That has all the info. You can contact a dev who started this team if that's something of interest to you. I'm open to new participants. Yeah. Oh,
I'll just read the description. So. Oh.
Yeah. Do you want to come up, Dev? You can hop right in the middle if you'd like to chat about it for a few minutes. Just walk on up over here and you can hop in.
Yeah, walk to the presentation area. The timer will reset
Mm-hmm.
somehow.
In the meantime, while Dev is making his way here, I'll just briefly describe the team tree visualizers. This was an initiative that really came out of some inspiring drawing of trees in Barb's live session, where we were all sharing our conceptions of drawing trees, and it was just this really amazing moment. And it spawned a few different things. We wanted to immediately jump into Miro and start visualizing with tree diagrams, complexity concepts, and that actually helped lead to one of the other teams over here. But another idea that was fun was, could we curate a list of songs about trees in different cultures all around the world and have an experience by basically walking in nature under trees, listening to this playlist, and just hearing a diverse set of perspectives about trees? And one takeaway, I did this actually before this live stream, and one takeaway I had was it's so interesting to see, just like everyone's drawings of the trees and conceptualization of a tree in their mind, it's a lot more different than you would think. And the expressions, the artistic expressions through music about trees is also very different. And if anything, the main commonality is it feels deeper. Like there's some deep emotion around thinking of trees, writing poetry, writing, songs about trees. And it's all over the map in terms of which emotions they feel heightened. And so that was just my impression from one listen of the playlist going on a walk. I put the bit.ly for the playlist. It's public if anyone wants to just listen, experience this. It's fun to explore concepts from a variety of angles and through music, through movement, through observation. I was constantly, while I was on the walk, I was thinking of the root systems and the fungi and the communication networks under the ground I was walking on. It was just a really fun experience. So one quick thing to highlight about that, this team was intended to end today. It fulfilled its mission, created a public playlist. It's open if more people want to add to it. The team is done now, and that's how it is sometimes. Sometimes teams are just a few-day thing for a learning experience. Sometimes teams, especially out of this community, have gone on to do great things and are still running today. So it's, there really is no pressure to start a team, even if the smallest unit of it is just a one-day experience to learn. So I just wanted to illustrate that with this particular team, and it's a fun place to listen to. Dev, thanks for stepping up. Feel free to chat more about GPT agents for career seeking.
Howdy. Yeah, thanks for having me up. I don't have too much to say, but basically the premise of this team was that there's a lot of folks looking for jobs right now, given the state of the tech industry. And it's pretty annoying to click through all the different postings and figure out who there and ask for referrals. It seemed ripe for automation. So we set out on this journey of building that tool ourselves. And Paul and Steven were excellent thought partners in this journey. I learned that it's not as straightforward as I thought. So two different approaches we took. One was the web scraping approach, which is scrape all these jobs and then figure out who works there, all that. That was hard because LinkedIn doesn't like folks to scrape and their web page changes all the time. And then the other approach was to use this tool called Agent GPT, which you can give it a high level goal and it'll break that down into steps, and then it'll browse websites and do things for you. And that also ran into a barrier because it's not allowed to log into your LinkedIn for you. So I'm actually going to take a hybrid approach from here where I use the agent for everything except for logging in. And I'll just have my own little code that logs in and gives it access to that, and then see how far I get. So lots of learnings, lots of failing, which is, part of the process. And I'm happy to have this community to bounce ideas off of. And that's where we're at.
Awesome. All right.
Great
Well,
job. Thanks.
if anybody has anything that they want to add, the red carpet is open.
I
Xavier?
do want to see, definitely, Xavier, welcome. I actually know Xavier in real life and would love for you to share equations right now if you feel like it and you want to share for 2 minutes or 2 to 3, 4 minutes. Michaela, if you're out there and want to join and talk about Ecotone Frog Summit or Team Tree Visualizers, feel free. Anyone else out there with a team seed, even if it wasn't submitted, and you want to speak, just step on up to the little red carpet here and pop on in.
Awesome. While that's happening, I'll just give a sort of last view over the program. Does that sound good, Sean?
Yep, sounds good.
All right.
David,
Well,
if you want to join?
if I see you in the spot, anyone who comes on the spotlight, okay, go for it, Xavier.
Okay, let me see.
It's loading.
Hey.
Do you see it?
Oh, there we go. Yay. So
All
I
right.
keep pending. I'm not sure if Xavier might need to respawn and gather. Can you see Xavier or hear him?
No.
Okay,
All right.
Xavier, just respawn.
Oh,
In the meantime, you can do the program.
yeah. All right. So just to sort of recall, I mean, what has happened over the last 50 hours is wild times. We have 12 plus many more shadows of seeds. We were active from 17 UTC on the 28th, 100% on through right now on the 30th. So we had just so many amazing possibilities for connection and communication. So again, big appreciation for everyone who joins as adventurer and guide to make it actually happen. And we know that we'll have a lot of time to digest the feedback forms that hopefully people will copiously fill out, and to integrate all the learnings and the observations that people make in chat threads and in future threads, and bring it together and just basically immediately stay chill and start working for the next summit to come and for the base camps in between. So thanks everybody for joining this April 2023 summit. It was the first Complexity Adventures event. So that's pretty epic to have both something old and something new, and to be able to continue something and relationships and our collective coming togethers, and also do it in a new way and a new time. So overall, an amazing adventure in and of itself. And I guess till the next one. I still don't see.
I do want to hit 2 more slides though. If you
okay. On the Jamboard.
On the Jamboard. Just quickly, the next slide. I know we still have to in the complexity of organizing. I have misplaced the date for the May base camp. So if there's any way you can recall that or put that in this particular post-it, that'd be awesome. But toward the end of May, I believe the second last weekend, and we're going to look it up right now, we have our monthly base camp starting up again. So that's a really important time to reconnect with the community in between the summits. And then I also want to highlight that we've already got the date set for the November summit in 6 months. So basically the second to last weekend in April moving forward, and the second to last weekend in November should always be the date for the summits. So November 17th to 19th, we hope to see everyone back here with lots of friends invited and just keep growing the community. And May 27th, 15 to 18 UTC, a 4-hour interval, 3-hour interval, will be the base camp. It's just a time, again, we need guides for the base camp, we need organizers for the base camp, and we need adventurers to show up. It's time for us to reconnect, hear about some cool projects going on, get resources and help to teams. It's just an all-around good time. And generally, go to the Atlas, join any community teams, any private teams, become a guide organizer by emailing organizers@complexityanventures.com. Keep the Atlas handy. That's the ever-evolving bookmark document that just unifies us around what our community is, all the aspects of our community, what events are going on at any particular moment. And the last thing I'll say on this slide is we're looking at a fun rendering, not the final version, but just a fun rendering of a future placemaking design for how we're going to be embodied together online on this kind of adventure map. Hanging out in the base camps every 6 months, going up to the summit, hanging out in all these different diverse, interesting spaces. And it's something that we're building in the placemaking community team. So if anyone's interested in that, just let me know. I believe Michaela is. Oh, okay. Can we go back to the teams real quick? Michaela requested that we summarize ecotones. So
All
maybe
right.
Daniel, go back to that and
Yeah.
please. What have you learned about ecotones?
Well, I'll just read what they have all written first. This is the Ecotone Frog Summit, Pelt 1 on Keybase, Michaela, and the email address here. Topics: fostering the notion of ecotone, a gradient between two different eco niches in any type of context, personal, professional, internal, external, in time and space, finding ways to apply the concept in complex situations. They're open to new members, and their next directions include gather resources about the concept of ecotones and provide a space for discussion. Anything else you want to add?
Yeah, and the one thing I'll add is that this has evolved. This is actually a team that was present at the past summit and has been going since then and is present at this summit as well. And they've added a technology ecotones angle to it. And I know Yana has also joined the team with Michaela. So it's not just ecological ecotones, it's also technological ecotones. So it's an exciting kind of double-sided angle there. So I think the last slide on Jamboard is truly the last thing we have to say. It's time to party. We're done. After party time. So right now we're in the live session room, which is the top of this slide. You just need to go down, follow the yellow path left. We're all going to hang out in the garden area, and it's just a good time to start decompressing. Laugh about the weekend, cry about the weekend, and we'll just hang out for some time and have fun.
All right. Thanks, everybody. See you down at the garden. See you next time.
Yeah. Yay. Thank you everyone for watching live together. That was fun.